Welcome to the weekly channeled angel message. Let's jump in. And today we're going to work with Archangel Raphael. As I was setting up and connecting in, Raphael stepped forward and wanted to deliver a message. So we'll see what he has to share with us today. So immediately he's bringing me to the heart space, which is not surprising. Archangel Raphael helps with healing in matters of the heart, grief and loss and heartbreak. And when I'm doing healing and energy work with clients, he often shows up when we're dealing with really big and heavy and hard emotions, but also healing work with the heart and self-love. He's so compassionate. I mean, all the angels are, but he just has such a warmth and is really, really, really about self-love. So let's see where he wants to take us with connecting to our heart space. It's about self-love and self-compassion. So really the major things that he tends to work with and talk about, and how he wants to talk about how we can grow our love for ourselves and compassion for ourselves, which is hard. And I would say most people, if not everyone, are working on that in some capacity in this life. And oftentimes is a lifelong thing, and oftentimes is a multiple life thing. So let's see, what are ways that we can grow in self-love and self-compassion? First, he wants you to think about, how do you view yourself? When you look at physical traits, personality traits, behaviors, just parts of yourself, where do you focus on? Do you focus on the wounds and the negative stuff and the things you don't like? Do you focus on the positives, the things you like about yourself? Even asking, like, are there things that you like about yourself? But that might be really hard. So where do you tend to focus? And the idea, similar to the angel message on manifestation that I did recently, is where our focus goes, energy flows. And so it's not that we can't ever focus on the things that we want to grow and heal and get better at, and things that we don't quite like about ourselves or we feel shame about. We don't want to avoid that stuff, right? Some of that stuff is our shadow parts, and we don't want to avoid looking at that and being with that. We want to learn to embrace it and love that. So don't want to avoid it. But that's not all we want to focus on. We want to have a more balanced approach. And so spending more time, just like a garden is what I'm hearing from Raphael and seeing, is like, what are we watering and tending to? So if we're only focusing on the negatives, or even opposite, if we're only focusing on the positives, we're missing something. And we want to make sure we're giving love and attention to all parts of ourselves. The parts that are in process, the parts that we hold in the dark corners of our psyche because we're ashamed of them, the parts that we show to the world because we're proud of them. All the parts, we want to give them all love. So first, think about how you can find that balance. And maybe it's like, if you're standing in the mirror and looking at, oh, I don't like this about my body. Maybe it's like, could you find one thing that you like about your body? Focus on that for a little bit. Notice, how does that feel to just focus on that part that you do like? If it's a personality trait, maybe you focus on, what's one thing that I really like about myself? Maybe I'm creative, or I'm smart, or I'm funny, or I'm kind. Maybe I'm good at math, whatever it is. And notice when you focus on that part of yourself and that trait, how's that feel? We want to grow that feeling, is what I'm hearing from Raphael. That feeling of pride, that feeling of joy, of gratitude, whatever that feels in your body, you want to grow more of that. The other ways we can grow self-love and compassion is thinking about, how do we tend to others? When we're caretaking other people, when we're being kind to them, when we're saying nice things, when we're showing them love, how do we do that? Do we buy them a gift? Do we give them a hug? Do we make a meal for them? Do we listen to what's going on in their world and what's on their heart? Do we say kind things to them? Do we lift them up, motivate them? And to flip that back on ourselves. So that's like a concrete way of thinking concretely, how do you show up in love for others? And what's a version of that you can do for yourself? Because you're just as worthy as everyone else to be given that love. We are worthy just because we exist. It's not conditional. And I know that that's hard to give to ourselves, that unconditional love, because the world has taught us, unfortunately, in so many ways, that love is conditional and that we have to be a certain way and show up a certain way and do certain things to be loved. But the actual truth is, and Raphael really wants us to remember this, is we are loved just for being, just for existing, and not for any type of conditions. Conditions don't exist in the spirit world, in the divine realm, on a higher existent consciousness. That truth of love is unconditional, truly, and all points of our life and all versions of ourselves, we are always worthy of love. So remember that, come back to that, even if it's hard to embody that at an experience level, like knowing that that's true, just hold on to the fact that that can be true. Let's see if there's other ways. Raphael's focusing on how do we talk to ourselves, and thinking about how would you talk to a baby? How would you talk to a toddler, a child? How would you talk to someone who's on their deathbed, or someone who feels really vulnerable, maybe has gone through a really difficult emotional time in their life, or struggling physically? Oftentimes we soften in those situations with people. But Raphael's bringing up that sometimes when we go through those exact same things, we're really hard on ourselves. One, he wants you to think about why that might be. It's probably tied to conditions in childhood, situations and experiences out in the world and in your life. But what if we could talk to ourselves in those ways? So think about someone in your life. Could be someone that you personally know, could be someone that you don't know super well, could be some type of public figure, could be maybe a spirit, an angel. Think about how someone that is very loving and warm and compassionate, think about how they would talk to you. And maybe at first you imagine that that's the person talking to you in those moments, who's cheering you on, who's saying, it's okay to be sad. It's been a hard day. You're doing your best. To hopefully then eventually internalize that voice for yourself. That can show up in very like a tender, loving way when you're going through a hard time, when you're struggling, when you need that compassion, when you've made a mistake. See if you can talk to yourself from that place. And then Raphael's reminding you that you can call in spirit, angels, spirit guides, loved ones, whoever you connect with in the spirit realm, and call on them for that really divine love, that unconditional love that sometimes we have a hard time embodying, and just bathe in it like you would the sun. Just let it shine down on you and imagine kind of that love coming from that higher power and down in you. Or maybe it's a collective like love that exists out in the ether and you want to bathe in it. Just what does that feel like? Let that move into every cell of your body and sit in that on a daily basis if possible, because that will change you on a deeper level to sit in that kind of love. So I hope that you can meet yourself this week and ongoing with more love and compassion.